The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest building Ambassador had ever seen. It stretched so high that clouds formed near the ceiling. Light came through windows made of crystal that had been cut from asteroids. Every surface was covered in gold and silver decorations. The aliens who built this place wanted everyone who entered to feel small and unimportant. Walked through the massive doors with her head held high. Behind her came the rest of Earth's delegation. Counselor Ho carried a data pad filled with reports and evidence. Security Chief Bora watched everything with careful eyes. Economic Advisor 1 clutched folders containing trade records going back 50 years. They wore simple black suits with small Earth flags on their shoulders. Around them, thousands of alien representatives filled the curved seats that rose up like a mountain on all sides. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some looked like nothing could describe with human words. They talked in dozens of languages, but the translation devices in everyone's ears made all of it understandable. At the center of the hall stood a raised platform. This was where the accused had to stand. Today, humanity was the accused. Took her place on the platform. The noise in the hall slowly died down. High above, on a balcony made of black stone, sat the 5 members of the Supreme Council. These were the most powerful beings in the known galaxy. The High Priest was there, his 6 eyes blinking in different patterns. The Emperor sat on a floating throne, his gray skin covered in ritual scars. The others were equally impressive and equally frightening. The High Priest raised one of his 4 arms. Complete silence fell over the hall. "We are gathered to discuss the human question," the High Priest announced. His voice was high and sharp, like metal scraping against metal. "The expansion of human colonies has caused concern among many member species. The Council will hear arguments and make a decision." Felt her heart beating fast, but she kept her face calm. She had prepared for this moment for 3 years. Every word she would say had been practiced 1,000 times. "The Dominion will speak first," the High Priest continued. From the section of the hall, a tall figure rose and floated down to the main floor. Ambassador was known throughout the galaxy as a master of political games. He was thin and pale, with skin that looked like it had never seen sunlight. His 6 eyes focused on with obvious disgust. "Distinguished members of the Council," began, his voice smooth and confident. "The facts are simple. Humans have been part of the galactic community for only 200 years. In that short time, they have spread like a disease. They now occupy 47 worlds. They breed faster than any other intelligent species. Their population doubles every century." Whispers spread through the hall, forced herself to stay still. "We have studied human history," continued. "On their home world, they drove thousands of species to extinction. They fought wars that killed millions of their own kind. They poisoned their own air and water. These are not the actions of a civilized people." The Emperor leaned forward on his throne. "What does the Dominion propose?" Smiled, at least thought it was a smile. With aliens, it was hard to tell. "We propose that humans return 3 of their colony worlds to the Council for redistribution. These worlds were settled too close to space. They threaten our security. In addition, humans must agree to limit their population growth to no more than 2% per standard century." The hall erupted in noise. Some aliens cheered. Others seemed shocked. Felt cold anger building in her chest, but she waited. She would have her turn to speak. The Emperor raised a hand and silence returned. "The Empire supports this proposal," he announced. "Humans are dangerous. They must be controlled before it is too late." More cheering came from certain sections of the hall. Noticed that the species who cheered were all ones who had something to gain from human territory. "The human delegation may now respond," the High Priest said. Stepped forward. She looked up at the Supreme Council, then turned to face the thousands of watching aliens. "Thank you for allowing us to speak," she said. Her voice was calm and clear. "Counselor Ho will present our evidence." Ho activated his data pad. Holographic images appeared in the air above the platform, visible to everyone in the hall. 50 years ago, Ho began, the Dominion faced a crisis. A plague was spreading through their agricultural worlds. Crops were dying. Millions faced starvation. Who helped them? He touched the data pad and images appeared showing human ships delivering food and medicine. Humans did. We sent 100 transport ships filled with supplies. We sent scientists who worked for 3 years to find a cure. We asked for nothing in return. Ho changed the display. Now it showed a massive space station. This is Communication Relay Station 7. It connects the entire eastern sector of the galaxy. Without it, messages that now take hours would take months. Who built it? He paused. Humans did. We designed it, constructed it, and have maintained it for 80 years. We charge nothing for species to use it. More images appeared. Medical centers on dozens of worlds. Schools that had educated millions of alien children. Emergency response teams that had saved entire cities from natural disasters. In 200 years, Ho said, humans have contributed more to galactic civilization than most species contribute in 2000. We have asked for very little in return. We simply wanted to be treated as equals. He turned off the display and stepped back, saw that many aliens in the audience looked uncomfortable. Even some who had cheered before now sat in silence. But Ambassador was laughing. The sound cut through the hall like a knife. Others joined in. Soon the representatives were laughing too. The sound was ugly and mocking. Touching, said when the laughter died down. Very touching. The humans want credit for their charity work. How generous of them. His voice dripped with contempt. But charity does not change facts. Humans are a young species. They do not understand how the galaxy works. They think their good deeds earn them the right to expand forever. They are wrong. He turned to face the Supreme Council. I move that the Council vote immediately on the proposal to limit human expansion. The High Priest nodded. We will vote. Those in favor of requiring humans to surrender 3 colony worlds and limit their population growth, indicate now. Lights began appearing above different sections of the hall. Each light represented a vote in favor, counted them with growing horror. More than half of the council was voting against humanity. Ho leaned close to her. This is wrong, he whispered. They did not even consider our evidence. Nodded slowly. She understood now. The evidence did not matter. The truth did not matter. This vote had been decided before the meeting even started. The aliens had made up their minds. Humans were to be punished for being too successful, too helpful, too human. The High Priest counted the votes. The motion passes, he announced. Humanity will surrender the colonies on 442, Trappist 7, and Wolf 1061. Population controls will begin immediately. This is the decision of the Galactic Council. Cheering erupted from the end sections. Other aliens joined in, happy to see humanity put in its place. Stood perfectly still. She looked at Ho, then at Bora, then at One. Each of them gave her a small nod. They had discussed this possibility. They had prepared for it. Now it was time. Took a deep breath. She bowed once to the Supreme Council. It was a formal bow, the kind used in Korea to show respect. But there was no respect in her heart. The bow was a goodbye. Then she turned and walked toward the doors. For a moment, no one understood what was happening. Ambassadors did not simply leave while the council was in session. It was against every rule of galactic diplomacy. Ambassador, the High Priest called out, "You have not been dismissed. Return to the platform." Did not slow down. Behind her, Ho, Bora, and One followed. Their footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. This is an insult to the council, Ambassador shouted. Humans show their true nature. They are children who throw tantrums when they do not get what they want. Stopped at the doors. She turned to face the hall one last time. Thousands of alien eyes watched her. We came here in good faith, she said. Her voice was quiet, but in the silence, everyone heard her clearly. We presented evidence of our contributions to galactic civilization. You did not even pretend to consider it. You had already made your decision. You called us to this hall not to negotiate but to humiliate us." She paused. When she spoke again, her voice was harder. "Humanity will not surrender any worlds. Humanity will not accept population controls. Humanity rejects this decision completely." Gasps filled the hall. The high priest rose from his seat. "You cannot reject a council decision. There will be consequences." Smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Yes," she said, "there will be consequences, but not the ones you expect." She bowed once more, then turned and walked through the doors. The other humans followed. The doors closed behind them with a sound like thunder. In the hall, chaos erupted. Aliens shouted at each other. Some demanded that humans be punished immediately. Others worried about what words meant. On his throne, the emperor frowned. Something about the human ambassador's final smile bothered him. It was the smile of someone who knew something others did not. But he pushed the thought away. Humans were a young and weak species. What could they possibly do against the combined power of the Galactic Council? He would learn the answer soon enough, and it would be a lesson he would never forget. Outside the council hall, walked to the human shuttle. Her team followed in silence. None of them spoke until they were inside the ship and the doors were sealed. "It's done," Ho said quietly. "There's no going back now." Nodded, she looked out the window at the magnificent alien city below. Tomorrow, everything would begin to change. "Send the signal to Earth," she said. "Tell them to begin the withdrawal, all of it." Bora opened a secure communication channel. In a few seconds, the message was sent. Across the galaxy, on every world where humans worked and lived, the same message arrived. "Come home." The galaxy had made its choice. Now it would learn what that choice truly cost. Engineer Sung Ho had lived on Station 12 for 15 years. It was his home. He knew every corridor, every machine, every quirk of the life support systems. He had met his wife here. His children had been born here. When he received the recall order, he sat in his office for a long time, staring at the message on his screen. "Come home." Two simple words that changed everything. Station 12 was one of the great communication relays that connected the galaxy. Without it, messages between the eastern sectors and the core worlds would take months instead of minutes. Billions of beings depended on it every day. They sent business contracts, medical information, personal letters to loved ones. The station never slept. It processed more data in 1 hour than most planets produced in a year. And humans had built it, humans maintained it, humans made it work. Sung Ho walked through the corridors one last time. He passed the main control room where alien technicians worked alongside humans. The operators did not look up as he passed. They never did. In 15 years of working together, they had barely spoken to him except to give orders or make complaints. He stopped at the central hub. This was the heart of the station, where all the data streams came together before being sent across the galaxy. The machines here hummed with constant activity. Lights blinked in patterns that Sung Ho understood as well as he understood his own heartbeat. His assistant, a young woman named Bai, was waiting for him. "Everyone received the message," she said quietly. "The supervisor is demanding to know what's happening." Sung Ho nodded. "Tell him the truth. Tell him we're leaving." Bai hesitated. "All of us. What about the station?" "The station belongs to the council. Let them run it." He walked to his main console and began the shutdown procedures. One by one, he powered down the systems that humans had installed. The backup generators that kept the station running during power failures. The diagnostic programs that found problems before they became disasters. The security protocols that protected against hackers and data thieves. Alarms began to sound. The supervisor came running into the control room, his 6 eyes wide with panic. "What are you doing?" he shouted. "Those systems are essential." Sung Ho did not stop working. These systems were designed by humans, built by humans, and maintained by humans. They are human technology. We are taking them with us. You cannot do this. The station will fail without them. Sung Ho finally looked up. He met the supervisor's eyes calmly. Then I suggest you learn how to fix it yourself. He removed the last piece of human software from the main computer. The screens flickered. Error messages appeared everywhere. The technicians scrambled to understand what was happening, but the code was in human languages that they had never bothered to learn. Sung Ho picked up his bag and walked toward the docking bay. Behind him, Bai and the other human workers followed. They had already packed their belongings. Their families were waiting on the transport ships. At the docking bay, the supervisor caught up with them. "Wait," he said. His voice was different now, less angry, more afraid. "We need time to learn these systems. Give us a few weeks. Train our people." Sung Ho turned to face him. "For 15 years I offered to train your people. You said did not need to learn from inferior species. You said human technology was primitive and easy to understand." He paused. "Now you can prove it." He boarded the transport ship. The doors closed. Through the window, he could see the supervisor standing alone in the docking bay, watching them leave. The ship pulled away from Station 12. Sung Ho watched until the station was just a small point of light in the darkness. Then he closed his eyes and thought about home. Across the galaxy, the same scene repeated itself 1,000 times. On medical stations and research centers, on trading posts and agricultural worlds, humans packed their things and left. They did it quietly, without anger or violence. They simply stopped doing the jobs that no one had thanked them for. On the planet Prime, High Commander noticed the first problems within a week. "What do you mean the food shipments are delayed?" he demanded. His aide looked uncomfortable. "The transport routes are having difficulties, Commander. Several relay stations are experiencing technical problems. Messages are not getting through properly." Waved his hand dismissively. "Fix it." "We are trying, Commander, but the technicians say the systems were designed by humans. Without human assistance, they cannot understand how to repair them." Felt a cold feeling in his stomach. He pushed it away. "Then find other solutions. We have the best engineers in the galaxy." But the problems only grew worse. The relay stations were just the beginning. Human engineers had built or improved systems on hundreds of worlds. Climate control stations that kept cities comfortable. Water treatment plants that made alien water safe to drink. Power grids that never failed. Medical equipment that could diagnose diseases no other technology could detect. One by one, these systems began to fail. The Emperor received reports from across his empire. Trade had dropped by 30%. Factories were closing because they could not get raw materials. Ships were lost in space because navigation systems gave wrong directions. "How is this possible?" the Emperor demanded. "We have been a spacefaring civilization for 10,000 years. How can we be crippled by the departure of one species?" His chief advisor bowed low. "Majesty, we did not realize how many systems depended on human technology and expertise. They integrated themselves so completely into our infrastructure that we stopped noticing their contributions. Then reverse engineer their technology, copy it." "We are trying, Majesty, but human engineering is different. They do not build things the way we do. Their solutions are often simple but incredibly clever. Our engineers cannot understand how something so basic can work so well." The Emperor slammed his fist on his throne. "I want solutions, not excuses." But there were no easy solutions. The humans had spent 200 years quietly making themselves essential. They had not done it for power or control. They had done it because they genuinely wanted to help. They saw problems and fixed them. They built things that worked. They asked for nothing in return except respect. Now the respect had been, and now they were gone. On Earth, Ambassador met with the United Nations Council. The great chamber was full. Every nation was represented. Every face was serious. "The withdrawal is proceeding on schedule," reported. 90% of our citizens have returned home. The remaining 10% will be back within the month. Prime Minister leaned forward. "What about our technology, our systems on alien worlds?" "We have removed everything we can. What remains will fail without maintenance. We estimate most systems will break down within 3 to 6 months." A murmur ran through the chamber. Some representatives looked worried, others looked satisfied. General One stood up. He was an old man with a hard face, a veteran of humanity's early space conflicts. "Let me be clear about what is happening," he said. "We are not attacking anyone. We are not declaring war. We are simply leaving. We are taking our people, our technology, and our expertise, and we are going home. If the galaxy cannot function without us, that is not our problem. They made it clear they do not want us. We are giving them what they asked for." The chamber fell silent. Everyone understood the situation. Humanity was not fighting back with weapons. They were fighting back by refusing to help anymore. It was, perhaps, the most devastating weapon of all. On the colony world of 7, disaster struck. The climate control system that kept the planet's temperature stable began to malfunction. Without it, temperatures would drop far below what could survive. Governor sent urgent messages to the. He received no response. The relay stations were still broken. He tried to contact the humans who had built and maintained the climate system, but they were gone. Their homes were empty. Their workshops were abandoned. Found the manual that the human engineers had left behind. It was written in simple language, with clear diagrams. Any intelligent being should be able to understand it. But the manual assumed knowledge that did not have. It talked about concepts that engineers had never learned. It referenced tools that did not possess. Realized with horror that for 50 years, his people had depended on human technology without ever understanding how it worked. They had called humans inferior while relying on human machines to survive. The temperature dropped another degree. Sent teams to search for any humans who might have stayed behind. They found one. An old woman named Sun who had lived on 7 for 40 years. She had married her husband had died last year. She had nowhere else to go. "Can you fix the climate system?" asked her. Sun looked at him for a long moment. She remembered how had treated her over the years. The insults, the discrimination, the assumption that she was less intelligent, less valuable, less worthy of respect. "I can," she said finally, "but I need payment." "Payment? We will pay whatever you ask." Sun smiled sadly. "I do not want money. I want you to say thank you." Blinked all 6 of his eyes. "What?" "For 40 years, humans have worked on this world. We built your schools. We healed your sick. We fixed your machines. Not once did any say thank you. Not once did anyone acknowledge our contributions." She paused. "Say thank you and I will help you." Felt his pride burning inside him. Did not thank inferior species. It was against everything he had been taught. But the temperature dropped another degree. His people were going to freeze. "Thank you," he whispered. Sun nodded. "That is a start." She went to work on the climate system. Within a day, temperatures began to stabilize. But she was only one person on one world. Across the galaxy, there were not enough humans willing to help. The message was clear. Humanity had been pushed too far, and now everyone would pay the price. Commander sat in the observation room of Border Station 9, watching the stars. The station floated at the edge of human space, the last outpost before the territories of the Galactic Council began. For weeks now, the station had been quiet. No alien ships came through. No messages arrived from the worlds beyond. Earth had closed its borders. It was not a blockade. Human ships did not stop anyone from leaving or entering. The borders were simply closed to trade, communication, and cooperation. If an alien ship wanted to pass through human space, they could. But no human would help them. No human would sell them fuel or supplies. No human would answer their calls. The silence was terrible and effective. Second in command, Lieutenant Min, entered the observation room. "Commander, we are receiving distress signals from space." Did not turn from the window. "What kind of distress?" "Medical emergency. A plague has broken out on 3 of their colony worlds. They are requesting assistance from any nearby civilizations." Felt her stomach tighten. A plague, that could mean millions of deaths. Her training, her instincts, everything inside her screamed to help. That was what humans did. They helped. But she had her orders. "Have they contacted Earth directly?" she asked. "No, Commander. The signals are general broadcasts. They seem to be hoping someone will respond." "Then we will not respond either. Continue monitoring. Do not engage." Min hesitated. He was young, still new to command. "Commander, people are dying. We have medical supplies. We have expertise. We could help." Finally turned to face him. Her eyes were tired, sad, but determined. 3 months ago, the Galactic Council voted to take our worlds. They laughed at us. They called us inferior. They demanded that we limit how many children we could have, as if we were animals to be controlled. She paused. "We helped the before when their crops were dying. We asked for nothing except respect. They gave us contempt." "But innocent people are dying," Min said quietly. "Yes, and that is terrible, but we did not create this plague. We did not start this conflict. They have their own doctors, their own scientists. Let them solve their own problems." She turned back to the window. "Dismissed, Lieutenant." Min left but could see her own reflection in the glass. She looked older than she felt. Being hard was not easy for humans. It went against their nature, but sometimes being hard was necessary. In space, the plague spread rapidly. It was a new disease, something their doctors had never seen before. Their medicines did not work. Their treatments failed. Cities that had held millions became ghost towns within weeks. High Priest, leader of the Dominion, called an emergency session of the Grand Council. "We must find a cure," he announced. "Use all resources. Contact all allies. Someone must have the knowledge to stop this disease." His chief medical officer bowed low. "Holiness, we have contacted everyone. The Empire has no solutions. The Collective has no solutions. No species in the Council has dealt with anything like this." "Then what about the humans?" Silence fell over the council chamber. No one wanted to speak. Finally, Ambassador stepped forward. He looked different than he had at the Galactic Council meeting. Thinner, weaker, afraid. "The humans have closed their borders," he said. "They do not respond to any communications. Their ships do not stop at our stations. They have completely isolated themselves." "Then send a delegation to their space. Speak with them directly." Shook his head. "We tried. 3 ships were sent. The humans did not attack them. They simply ignored them. They refused to dock with our ships, refused to answer any calls. Our delegation waited at the border for 2 weeks before returning home." High Priest felt something he had rarely felt in his long life: fear. "The humans have medical technology that no other species can match," he said. "Their doctors have cured diseases that killed millions. Surely they would not let innocent people die just because of a political disagreement." Was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Holiness, do you remember what I said at the council meeting? I called humans children. I said they threw tantrums when they did not get what they wanted." He paused. "I was wrong. Humans are not children. Children eventually forgive and forget. Humans are something else entirely. They remember everything. And they have decided to make us remember too." The plague continued to spread. On the Emperor faced a different crisis. The economy was collapsing. Without reliable trade routes, Without human engineers to maintain the systems that moved goods across the galaxy, the empire was falling apart. Factories closed because they could not get raw materials. Farmers could not sell their crops because transport ships did not run on schedule. Banks failed because the financial networks that connected them were breaking down. "This is unacceptable," declared in his throne room. "We are the Empire. We have conquered 100 worlds. We will not be brought down by the absence of one pathetic species." His advisors said nothing. They had learned not to give the Emperor bad news. But the Emperor could see the truth in their faces. The Empire was dying, not from war, not from invasion, simply from neglect. The systems that held it together were failing, one by one, like a body whose heart had stopped beating. Thought about the human ambassador. He remembered her final smile before she left the council hall. Now he understood what that smile had meant. She had known. She had known exactly what would happen when humans left. She had known that the galaxy depended on her people far more than anyone realized. And she had smiled because she knew that her enemies would soon learn the truth. Felt a cold admiration mixed with his fear. Humans were more dangerous than anyone had imagined, not because of their weapons or their military power, but because they had made themselves necessary. And now they were showing everyone what it meant to be without them. On Border Station 9, Commander received new reports every day. The plague in space was killing thousands. The economy had lost half its value. 3 other species had suffered major infrastructure failures. She shared the reports with her crew, but she gave them no orders to help. Those were not her orders. One night, Min came to her quarters. "Commander, I need to understand something. Why are we doing this? I joined the service to help people, to explore the galaxy, to make things better. Now we just sit here and watch everything fall apart." Invited him to sit. She poured 2 cups of tea, a habit she had kept since childhood. "Do you know the history of Korea?" she asked. Min shook his head. For centuries, Korea was invaded again and again by larger nations. We were occupied, colonized, exploited. Our language was banned. Our culture was suppressed. But we survived. We kept our identity. We helped rebuild our country. We became one of the most advanced nations on Earth. She sipped her tea. "Do you know how we did it? Not through war. Not through revenge. We did it by becoming essential. We built the ships. We created the technology. We educated ourselves until we were the best in the world at what we did. Humanity did the same thing in the galaxy. We made ourselves helpful. We built things. We fixed things. We asked for nothing except to be treated fairly." She set down her cup. "The aliens refused. They took everything we offered and gave nothing back. Not even basic respect. So now we are showing them what the galaxy looks like without us. We are teaching them a lesson they will never forget." "But people are dying," Min said. "Innocent people who had nothing to do with the Council's decision." Nodded slowly. "Yes, and that is the terrible part, but think about this. For 200 years, humans have been treated as second-class citizens. Our contributions were ignored. Our people were insulted. Our rights were. How many humans suffered because of that? How many human lives were damaged or destroyed by alien prejudice?" She looked directly at Min. "We are not killing anyone. We are simply refusing to help those who refuse to help us. The blood is not on our hands. It is on the hands of those who drove us away." Min was quiet for a long time. Finally, he nodded. "I understand, Commander. I do not like it, but I understand." "Neither do I," admitted. "Being cruel is not in our nature, but sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind. If we help them now, they will learn nothing. They will go back to treating us the same way. The cycle will continue forever." She stood and walked to the window. "This has to end. The only way it ends is if they understand, truly understand what they have lost. Then maybe we can start over. Maybe we can build something better." Outside, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, civilizations were falling, watched and waited. Soon she knew the delegations would start arriving, not with demands this time, with pleas. And then finally, humanity would be ready to talk. Counselor 1 sat in the great hall of the Earth Council building in Seoul. Once, this hall had been used for ceremonies and celebrations. Now it served a different purpose. It was where the delegations came to beg. The first delegation arrived on a Tuesday morning, 12 officials, led by Ambassador himself. They came in a ship that had seen better days. Human technicians had designed its navigation systems, and those systems were starting to fail. Walked into the hall with his head held high, trying to maintain his dignity. But one could see the fear in his 6 eyes. The arrogance was gone, replaced by desperation. Counselor 1 said, bowing lower than any had ever bowed to a human, "I come on behalf of the Dominion. We wish to discuss the restoration of relations between our peoples." One did not stand. He did not bow. He simply gestured for to sit. "The Dominion," one said slowly, "voted to take 3 human worlds. The Dominion laughed when we presented evidence of our contributions to galactic civilization. The ambassador, you, specifically, called humans children and suggested we should be controlled like animals." Said nothing. What could he say? It was all true. "Why should we talk to you now?" one asked. Was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Because we are dying." One waited. "The plague has killed 2 million of our people. It is spreading faster than we can contain it. Our doctors have tried everything. Nothing works. We believe." He paused, struggling with the words. "We believe that human medical science may have the answer. We have seen your doctors cure diseases that were thought to be incurable." "You have," one agreed. "We offered that knowledge freely. We shared it with anyone who asked, but you never asked. You were too proud to learn from inferior beings." Lowered his head. "We were wrong." 3 simple words, for as saying them was harder than fighting a war. One leaned forward. "Tell me something, Ambassador. If we help you now, what happens after? Do things go back to the way they were? We'll go back to looking down on humans. Will the Council vote to take our worlds again in 50 years? "No," said quickly. "Everything will be different. We understand now. We see what we failed to see before." "What do you see?" Looked up. For the first time, one saw something real in those alien eyes. Not fear, not desperation, understanding. "I see that humans are not inferior. You are different. You see problems that we do not see. You find solutions that we would never find. You build things that last. You help without asking for payment." He paused. "I see that we were fools." One nodded slowly. "That is a good start, but words are easy. Actions are harder. I will give your request to our government. You will have our answer in 3 days." Bowed again and left with his delegation. One watched them go, then turned to his aide. "Send for the delegation. I believe they arrived yesterday." The Emperor had sent his own brother, Prince, to speak with the humans. This was significant. They did not send royalty to negotiate with lesser species. The fact that Prince was here showed how desperate the situation had become. Was a massive creature, even by standards. His gray skin was covered in ritual scars that told the story of his conquests. He had been a warrior his entire life, but there was no fight in him today. Counselor said, lowering his head in respect, "The Empire seeks peace with humanity." "Peace," one repeated. "That is an interesting word. We were never at war." "We were at war," said, "just not with weapons. We fought you with contempt, with dismissal, with arrogance. We lost." One appreciated the honesty. "Tell me what is happening in your empire." Took a deep breath. "Our economy has collapsed. Without reliable trade routes, goods cannot move, factories close, workers starve, crime increases, the government cannot maintain order." He paused. We have conquered many worlds through military strength. Now we discover that holding them requires something else, something we do not have. And what is that? The ability to build, to create, to maintain. Met one's eyes. We are warriors, we know how to destroy. Humans know how to build. We did not respect that. We thought building was the work of servants. And now I understand that builders are more important than warriors. A warrior can take a city. Only a builder can make it worth keeping. One felt something shift inside him. This was not just desperation talking. This was real understanding. Perhaps there was hope after all. What does the Empire want? He asked. We want humans to return. We want you to help us rebuild what we have broken. We want a true partnership, not the false one we had before. And what are you willing to offer in return? Pulled out a data crystal and placed it on the table. The Council's original demands. They are withdrawn completely. Your 3 worlds are yours. Your population is your own concern. He paused. In addition, the Empire will publicly apologize for our treatment of humanity. We will acknowledge human contributions to galactic civilization. We will grant humans full equal status under imperial law. One picked up the crystal. These are significant offers. They are the minimum, said. If humanity wants more, we will negotiate, but we will not pretend anymore. We need you. The galaxy needs you. This is simply the truth. Over the next 2 weeks, more delegations came. Some were proud, still trying to negotiate as if they had something to bargain with. These were sent away without answers. Others came humble, ready to admit their mistakes. These were given appointments with higher officials. The galaxy was learning. Every day, more species understood what they had lost. Every day, the price of arrogance became clearer. On the planet 7, the old woman soon had worked miracles. The climate system was running again. The cities were warm, but she was only one person and the work was exhausting. Governor came to her workshop one evening. He found her sitting at her desk, staring at a photograph. It showed a young woman standing next to a male. Your husband? Asked. Soon nodded. We met 40 years ago. He was the only who ever treated me as an equal. The others laughed at him for marrying an alien. He did not care. He must have been a good man. He was. He died believing that someday our peoples would understand each other. She put the photograph down. I stayed because of him, because I wanted to believe he was right. Sat down across from her. Was he right? Soon looked at him for a long moment. I do not know yet. People say things when they are desperate. The question is whether they remember those things when the crisis is over. I will remember, said. I will make sure my people remember. Words, Soon said, but there was a small smile on her old face. But words are a start. Back on Earth, Ambassador reviewed the reports from all the delegations. She had not returned to public diplomacy since walking out of the council hall, but she followed everything carefully. Prime Minister called her to a meeting. The and the have both made substantial offers, he said. Other species are following their lead. The galaxy is ready to talk. Are we ready to listen? Asked. Was quiet for a moment. What do you think? Considered the question carefully. I think we have made our point. The galaxy understands what we contribute. They understand what they lose when we leave. She paused. But I also think we should be careful. Memory is short. If we go back too quickly, if we make things too easy, they will forget. In a generation, we will be back where we started. Then what do you suggest? New terms, not demands terms. A framework for how we will work together going forward. Respect must be written into agreements, not just promised. Human contributions must be acknowledged publicly and permanently, and we should not give everything back at once. Let them feel the absence a little longer. Let the lesson sink in. Nodded. I was hoping you would say that. I want you to lead the negotiations. Smiled. It was the same smile she had given the council when she walked out. But this time, It was a smile of hope instead of defiance. "I would be honored." In the Great Hall of the Earth Council building, preparations began for the most important diplomatic conference in human history. Alien delegations arrived from across the galaxy. They came not as conquerors or rulers but as guests, as equals seeking partnership. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Now it was time to see if that lesson would last. Counselor 1 watched the delegations arrive. Beside him, his young assistant looked nervous. "Do you think this will work, sir? Can we really change how aliens see us?" One thought about it. "I do not know, but I know this: they will never forget what happened here. For the first time in 200 years, they see us clearly. Whether they like what they see is up to them." He straightened his jacket and walked toward the hall. The future was waiting, and humanity was finally ready to shape it on their own terms. The new council hall was nothing like the old one. It was not built to make visitors feel small. It was built for equals. The ceiling was high but not impossibly so. The seats were arranged in a circle, not a mountain. There was no platform for the accused to stand on. There were only tables and chairs where beings from different worlds could sit and talk. Ambassador walked into the hall with her delegation. Counselor Ho was there, as he had been at the beginning. Security Chief Bora walked beside her, watching everything with careful eyes. Economic Advisor 1 carried the same data pad, now filled with different information. But this time, they were not here to defend themselves. They were here to set the terms for a new future. The hall was full. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy had come. The dozens of others. Some had traveled for months to be here. Some had overcome political opposition in their home governments. All of them understood that this moment would shape galactic history. High Priest of the rose to speak first. He was old now, older than when had last seen him. The plague had aged him. The guilt had aged him more. "Distinguished representatives," began. His voice was weaker than before, but every word was clear. 5 months ago, humanity walked out of the Galactic Council. We thought they were being dramatic. We thought they would return in a few weeks, grateful for whatever scraps we offered them. He paused, letting the silence stretch. We were wrong. Humanity did not return, and we discovered that the galaxy we had built, the civilization we were so proud of, could not function without them. Murmurs spread through the hall. Some species still struggled to accept this truth, but they were here. That meant something. "I speak for the Dominion," continued. "We apologize, not just for the council vote, but for 200 years of disrespect. We took human help and gave nothing in return. We called you inferior while depending on your skills to survive. We were blind and we are sorry." He bowed deeply, then returned to his seat. Emperor of the was next. He had aged too. His gray skin hung loose on his frame. His ritual scars looked like wounds that would never heal. "The empire was built on conquest," he said. "We believed that strength was everything. We looked at humans and saw a weak species, small, soft, unable to fight the way we fight." He shook his head slowly. "We did not understand that there are different kinds of strength. The strength to build instead of destroy. The strength to help instead of harm. The strength to walk away from those who insult you and let them discover what they have lost." He turned to face directly. "Humanity showed us a strength we never knew existed. We have learned. We will not forget." One by one, other species spoke. Some apologized. Some offered excuses that sounded hollow in the hall. Some simply acknowledged that things had to change. Finally, it was turn. She stood and walked to the center of the circle. Every eye in the room was on her. She thought about the last time she had stood before the galaxy's leaders. She had been accused then. Now she was the one in control. "Thank you all for coming," she said. Her voice was calm and strong. "I know it was not easy for many of you. Some of your governments opposed this meeting. Some of your people still believe that humanity is the villain in this story. She let that sink in. We are not villains. We are also not heroes. We are simply a species that wanted to be treated fairly. For 200 years, we gave everything we had to the galactic community. We built your stations. We healed your sick. We maintained your systems. We asked for one thing in return: respect. Her voice hardened slightly. You refused, and so we left. We did not attack anyone. We did not seek revenge. We simply stopped helping those who refused to help us. She paused, looking around the room. Some of you have called this cruel. Perhaps it was. But what was the alternative? Should we have continued to serve species who despised us? Should we have accepted being treated as inferior forever? Would any of you accept that for your own people? No one answered. They all knew the truth. We are here today to discuss the future, continued. Not the past. The past cannot be changed, but the future can be built together if we agree on what that future should look like. She signaled to Ho, who activated his data pad. Holographic text appeared in the air, visible to everyone. These are our terms. They are not demands. They are the foundation for a new partnership between humanity and the galaxy. The first term appeared: full equal status for humans in all galactic institutions. We will no longer accept being treated as a junior species, explained. We will have full voting rights in all councils. Our representatives will be treated with the same respect as any other species. The second term: protection of human colonies from any future territorial claims. Our worlds are ours. They will never be subject to council redistribution. Any species that threatens human territory will be treated as an enemy of humanity. The third term: recognition of human contributions to galactic civilization. We want history to remember what we built. Schools will teach about human achievements. Monuments will acknowledge our role. The next generation will grow up knowing the truth, not the lies their parents believed. The fourth term: a new crisis response system with human leadership. When disasters happen, when plagues spread, when systems fail, humans will coordinate the response. We have proven that we can handle these situations. We will not apologize for being good at it. The fifth and final term: mutual aid agreements between humanity and all member species. We will help you. We have always wanted to help. But from now on, help goes both ways. When humans need assistance, we expect the galaxy to respond. Partnership means sharing burdens, not just benefits. Lowered the display. These terms are not negotiable in their core principles. The details can be discussed, but the fundamentals must be accepted before any negotiations begin. Silence filled the hall. The terms were significant. They represented a complete transformation of humanity's position in the galaxy. High Priest was the first to respond. The Dominion accepts these terms. We accept them not because we have no choice, but because they are fair. They are what we should have offered from the beginning. Emperor stood next. The Empire accepts. We have learned that some battles cannot be won with weapons. This is a battle humanity has already won. We acknowledge their victory. One by one, other species followed. Some accepted immediately. Others asked for time to consult their governments, but no one rejected the terms outright. Watched as the votes came in. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to feel hope. When the voting was complete, she addressed the hall one final time. Today marks a new beginning, not just for humanity but for all of us. We have all made mistakes. We have all learned painful lessons, but we are still here. We can still build something better. She thought about her grandmother, who had told her stories of Korea's history when she was a child. Stories of occupation and liberation, of destruction and rebuilding, of a small nation that refused to give up. Humanity will return to the galaxy, said. Our engineers will fix your systems. Our doctors will heal your sick. Our teachers will educate your children. We will do what we have always done, help those who need help. She paused. But we will do it as equals. We will do it with respect. And we will never forget the lesson that brought us here today. She bowed once, the same formal bow she had given 5 months ago when she walked out. But this time when she rose, she was smiling. The hall erupted in applause, not just from the human delegation but from species across the galaxy. Some were crying, some were laughing. All of them understood that history was being made. Outside the hall, the people of Earth waited for news. Billions watched on screens in their homes, in public squares, in workplaces. When emerged from the building, the cheering could be heard in orbit. Standing beside her, Ho leaned close. "We did it," he said quietly. "We actually did it." Nodded. "This is just the beginning. The hard work starts now. We have to prove that we meant what we said. We have to show the galaxy what humanity can do when we are given the chance." She looked up at the sky, at the stars that had always called to her species. "But yes, we did it." In the months that followed, humans began returning to alien space. Engineers went back to their stations. Doctors went back to their hospitals. Teachers went back to their schools, but everything was different now. They were greeted with respect. Their work was appreciated. Their names were remembered. On 7, Soon was given a medal by Governor. It was the highest honor a non could receive. She accepted it quietly, then went back to her workshop. There was still work to do. On Border Station 9, Commander opened the borders. Alien ships began flowing through human space again, their captains nodding respectfully as they passed. The silence was over. In Seoul, Ambassador retired from diplomacy. She had done what she set out to do. Now she wanted to rest, to spend time with her family, to watch the future she had helped create. But sometimes, late at night, she would look up at the stars and think about what had happened. About the moment when humanity had walked away and the galaxy had finally understood. They called it the Great Silence in history books, the 6 months when humanity stopped speaking. Some said it was the thing humans had ever done. Others said it was the most necessary. Called it justice. And as she watched her play in the garden, she knew that everything they would build, every world they would explore, every dream they would achieve, was possible because of those 6 months of silence. The galaxy had made an error. Humanity had shown them what that error cost, and now together they could finally move forward. Not as masters and servants, not as rulers and ruled. As partners, as equals, as family. The stars had never looked brighter.